Like what we do, or just names?
Everything.
Everything. You want to know my
Do you
life
like pina coladas?
Yeah.
I like
I'm getting caught in the rain.
Life stories, if possible.
Okay. Well, my name is Jennifer Hanft. I am a reference librarian at Carlisle Campbell Library at Meredith College, which, for those of you who don't know Meredith, we are pretty much right across the street from NC State, and we are a women's college, and that defines us greatly. It is a wonderful place to work. I do a lot there. I wear many, many hats, as you tend to do when you work in small places. I am a reference librarian. I am the coordinator of the library instruction program, which means that I schedule library classes. I teach the bulk of the classes. I am the liaison for theater and dance, art history, English, graduate nutrition classes, child development, sociology and social work, and sometimes communication classes. So I teach upper level majors in information literacy for all of those disciplines, and I work with a lot of the thesis students and just general students doing research in all those subjects and pretty much any other subject that wants to come and take my time. I am also on several library committees, college committees, things like that. I'm an honors program freshman advisor, and I am an instructor of the freshman seminar course. And in my free time, I also volunteer with NCLA, the North Carolina Library Association. I am the membership chair for the current biennium, and I am the chair of the mentor program for the New Members Roundtable. How did I get there? I worked hard and had a lot of luck, pretty much. I have a background in English literature and composition, and I love doing research, and so when I couldn't get a job in publishing, I leaned toward libraries and sort of wanted to investigate what being a librarian was all about. So I started working for the public library system, decided from day one that it was my calling, it was my absolute dream job, and applied for library school. Went to Florida State by distance while I was working in Garner at the public library where Elizabeth used to work. She hired me once upon a time. And decided while I was in library school to work in reference. My very first reference class cemented the fact that I was meant to be a reference librarian. And I explored some other areas, things like art libraries. I interned at the North Carolina Museum of Art for a summer and loved it. But when I graduated from library school, a temporary position became available at Meredith. And I thought, I don't really want to work in academic libraries. I had this sort of preconceived notion what it would be like to be an academic librarian. But I thought, a temp position for one semester would be a great way to make money to live off of while I look for a real job. And from the minute that I started working there, I absolutely loved it. It was my dream job completely and utterly, and it only got better the whole time I worked there. I had to interview the exact same as everyone else who applied for the job, which was the most stressful few days of my entire life. And thankfully, they hired me, and it has literally gotten better ever since. So I'm in my dream job as a reference librarian with little free time, and I keep volunteering for things.
I'll try and do that. I don't have notes like Jennifer.
I didn't look at my notes.
I might not be able to be as together as she was. Starting from like the beginning of my career, I actually started off, I had my undergraduate degree in elementary education. And from the time I was a little kid, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher, and that's all that I ever wanted to do, and I never even looked at anything else. and came to UNC, got a degree, then promptly moved to Australia. And I wasn't able to get a job as a teacher in Australia because it is surprisingly really difficult to get a job there if you're not an Australian citizen, which I am not. So I ended up working in administration in the Department of Education and Training. And I did a really bizarre thing. I have no idea why, but I decided it would be fun to learn how to build databases in my free time when I was working for the Department of Education and Training. So I built a database, and I was able to give people access to information that they weren't able to access before. And I built it from the ground up. I did all the training documents. I showed everybody how to do it whenever anybody new came in. And I found out I really, really like teaching people how to find information. So then I started saying, well, how do I actually do that? And I came across librarianship. I grew up in Chapel Hill and I went to UNC, but I never stepped foot in Manning Hall. I never thought about library school. But when I was in Australia and I decided this is what I wanted to do with my life, it's like, oh, UNC has this great library school that I could go to, and I'll move back to Chapel Hill. So after living in Australia for 4 years, I moved back to Chapel Hill. I went to library school. And my focus was on making information easier to access, particularly online information. And I started getting really interested in e-learning and that sort of aspect of librarianship, how to make it more accessible for people that are not necessarily in traditional classrooms or in hybrid classrooms. And luckily, when I was about to graduate, the library here decided that they really needed a coordinator of e-learning services. I had been doing this the whole time I was in library school. It was the perfect job for me. Like, it was as if somebody had gone in my head and written out the perfect job, and it was advertised on the UNC library website. So I applied for it, and I was fortunate enough to get it. And now I'm the coordinator of e-learning services for UNC libraries. What that means is I am the point person for e-learning in UNC libraries. I serve on a lot of different committees that have a stake in e-learning. I also am involved in scholarly communication, copyright issues, looking at different sort of instructional technologies that the university is thinking about adopting, and how the library really fits in there. And I get to be the voice for the library in a lot of those aspects. I also get to teach, and so I'm on the reference desk, and I have a lot of interactions with students, which is fabulous. I also do a lot with code. I build websites. I build different tools for the online classroom for faculty members. And I spend a lot of time training librarians and faculty members on how to use different tools. So I have a lot of variety in my job. I really, really enjoy my job. And in addition to my job here, I also, like Jennifer, I volunteer for a lot of stuff with libraries, and I need to learn how to say no, I think, a bit more. But I like being involved with people. I like being involved with librarians. I am actually the chair of the New Members Roundtable for NCLA, and Jennifer is on the board with me. I brought her on, and thankfully she stayed on with me. And we actually are looking for another board member. So if any of you are interested in volunteering, our treasurer is leaving, unfortunately. She has to move out of state. And we are looking for a new treasurer for the New Members Roundtable. And it's really important to me that we have some representation from the library school, because in NCLA, a huge component of the new members are our library school students. So we really want your voice to be heard on our board as far as the programming that we're doing, the way that we're reaching out to people. So just that's a little plug for what I do. I'm also the president of the Alumni Association, which is here at SILS, which has given me a very interesting perspective that I didn't really know is how much I would learn and how much I would learn about the alumni by doing that. Let's see, I'm trying to think what else I do. I think that's enough for now. But you know, it's a really fun. I really love my job. I love talking about it. So if you have any questions about e-learning or being involved in NCLA or the Sills Alumni Association when you graduate, please let me know. I'm here to answer